Hey guys, Dane from Scoggin-Dickey Parts Center, and it's time for another tech tip. So this one is going to be a little bit different. We're not talking about engine parts or anything else like that. We're going to talk about your wheel and tire combination for your hot rod. So this big beefy piece right here is actually off of my Firebird project that I've had for decades now. So this one is actually a 18 by 11, and I'm running 315s on all four corners. Yes, it's possible. With a little bit of strategic rubbing of the fenders with a fender roller and making sure that you've got everything else really spot on with the backspacing or offset. So this wheel, like I said, it's an 18 by 11. The offset itself, you might be asking, Dane, what's offset? It's also referred to as backspacing. So the backspacing is going to be the amount of wheel that goes into the center line of the vehicle. So this one has a 38 millimeter offset. Yes, 38 millimeter. So 38 millimeter offset from the center of the wheel itself. So from the center line here, this way, is 38 millimeters. So if you go even further, say you guys with Corvettes and stuff that are going to be running like a 45, 48, 50 millimeter offset or even more, that means it goes further out this way as far as the base, the mounting base right here on your wheel to where it meets your hub. So the important part here, of course, is going to be making sure that it doesn't rub on the body, as well as your suspension components, your brake lines, other lines that might be hiding around, as well as your control arms, especially for some of these wheels that are a lot thicker. You're running way wider setup, especially for my friends that are in the 300 plus in the front gang. You're going to have some challenges sometimes. So really, the main thing to be able to plan this out is to make sure that you measure for it correctly. A lot of people have worked really, really hard to find the right offsets for their cars. I know some people in the industry that actually will sit on their measurements and not share it with you, just because of the fact that that's their bread and butter. And I'm not going to fault them for that. So this fits on my Firebird. It might not fit on your car, and also in between a Firebird and a Camaro for the 4th gens, there might be some fitment issues between those two just because of the way that everything's molded on the side of the car. So I digress. But the real important thing here is to measure. So there are a ton of tools out there that you can use to be able to measure for your wheel size, your tire size, as well as the offset, to be able to get the best of, really the best out of your money. Because I mean, have you seen how much these wheels cost nowadays? We're not talking about, $200 a wheel now. We're talking about, some of these guys have setups that if you're really, really pushing for the custom wheel layout, you could be spending $2,000 a corner. And then you've got tires on top of that. So really, if you get your measurements wrong, you could be scraping your wheels on, your chassis or anything else like that, as well as cutting a giant groove out of your tires. I've seen it happen. I've had it happen. It's the important thing of measuring multiple times to make sure this works. So there's tools that actually mount to the hub. I don't have one in hand right now, but we have sold them in the past. There are tools that mount to this hub that actually have a radius arm that goes, that simulates the actual wheel diameter. And then it also has another portion that you can actually simulate the tire that you have. So that's going to be both the width, so 315 millimeters, as well as the aspect ratio, or ratio, which is going to be your tire height from your rim all the way to the outside edge. So that way you can simulate your fitment on your vehicle, which is really nice because then you can pretty much get it dialed in before you even get any of the components. Just make sure that whenever you order those custom wheels, that when they show up, that they're the right fitment, because I've always had, nightmares about that, and I've had friends that have ordered custom wheels before. It just happens. There's some of these custom wheel companies are extremely busy. Sometimes things get a little bit mixed up, but make sure that you check it before you start mounting tires. That way, you know, you can call them and make sure that you get the right wheels that you ordered and not trying to offload those and try and source the correct ones. So, of course, the important thing on this one, this is on the side of the tire, it's a 315 millimeter, and then radius is 18 inches. The 30 is that aspect ratio, which means 30% of the tire height compared to the actual width of the tire. So that's the fun part. To be able to check if a wheel is going to fit, I recommend that you do it with the suspension loaded, so you make sure that all the other stuff is going to work correctly. The other thing also to consider is going to be your bolt patterns. You can get really, really close on some of these, but usually it's not recommended, say like for you F-body guys or Corvette guys or anything else like that. The common one is the 5x120.65, and you look at a BMW wheel and you're like, hey, 5x120s, it's close. There's some issues with that. And a lot of people caution, especially if you're going to be doing some high-speed driving or autocross where you have high shock loads, out on the track, hard braking. These wheel studs just might decide that they want to check out. Also, you have extended wear on the actual bolt holes and everything else. And then if you're having it serviced at some other wheel and tire shop, they might look at that offset or the actual bolt pattern and go, hey, these are wrong, I don't want to touch it, because they don't want to sign off on it. Another one to think about is your hub bore on the wheels. You need to be able to pay attention to the hub bore diameter, which is, of course, this spot right here. Not every vehicle is going to be the same. Some of them are going to be dramatically different. And so some of it is going to be so much so that you're not going to be able to run a certain wheel because of the fact that the hub bore diameter is smaller than the hub bore that you have on your vehicle. I've seen it happen. The other thing is, sometimes you can get away with this, is using a hub-centric ring. I always recommend using the metal ones, not the plastic ones, but you can use a hub-centric ring on the wheel if the wheel hub bore diameter is larger than what you have on your vehicle itself. That's going to be one of those things that's going to be up to you. Some tire shops decide that they don't even want to touch that, so it's going to be kind of up in the air. My hands are nice and dirty now. So the other part to pay attention to is going to be your lug nuts as far as the design. I always, whenever I order wheels from a manufacturer, I also check to see what type of lug nut design that they use. Some of them are going to use a bulge style or acorn or a tapered seat. All the others are going to be, really it's going to be important, because for some of you guys that have run drag wheels in the past, you've probably seen guys run it at the track and they shear the lug nut, or they shear the studs off of their car, and that's because they were using the wrong style lug nuts, as well as not using the correct hardware that they needed, and they just absolutely shredded that thing, as well as the side of their car whenever the wheel decided to check out. So hopefully that answered some of your questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment in our videos down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you have any other questions in regard to products that we might have either on the shelf, on the website, or not on the website. We do have a variety of wheel suppliers that we do work with, as well as tire suppliers. It's just that there's so many varieties and there's so much to work through on those, and we just don't have them listed on the website. So once again, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys next week for another tech video. I'm going to go wash my hands.